Hi, it's Clare Bennett again. This little section, chapter, whatever you want to call it, is going to be about wire to be used with the copper wire tinner. I would say get to know the local electrician and ask him for your scraps. You can get wire off the internet, you can get wire at your local hardware store. You may have some scraps around in your garage, possibly from a job an electrician had done for you. So now let me talk to you about the wire other than finding it. Okay, so this is a piece of wire, scrap wire, that I got from an electrician. And you'll notice as I take this one out, it has a bend. Now this is like 10 gauge wire, which I used for the frames of my outdoor pieces. And you could sit here and try to straighten it, and you'll be here all day. So what you do is you take the end of the wire and, okay, here we go, which I've already done and then I can't find, and you put a hook on it, all right, just with your pliers, put a nice hook. And then you need to find a very secure place to attach this to. I happen to use the lid handle to my kiln, which I know isn't going anywhere. But don't hold me responsible if you decide to tie it onto a doorknob. Make sure whatever if you have a vise, a bench vise, something that's strong and hard isn't going to go anywhere. And then what you do is you will put it into the chuck of your drill, tighten it up, and just give some pulls on your drill, and you'll be able to watch it straighten out. So it depends upon how bent your wire is. I've had pieces that are, corkscrews, and you can straighten it out using the drill just by a few little pulls on your drill, and you'll watch it. You'll be able to see it just straighten out. So this is the difference between a piece, the same wire, has not been put into a drill and straightened out, and has been put into a drill and straightened out, and you can see how nice and straight. The other thing too is, 10 gauge is stiff and hard enough as it is, but it will actually make it harder and less flexible. It's just really tightening it up. The other thing you could do is making twisted pair. I used this piece in the demo earlier about using the copper wire tinner to get this really nice pristine tin on the wire. Again, same thing, you get a piece of wire, bend it in half, put it in the chuck of your drill, secure the other end to something, not a doorknob, and pull the trigger of the drill slowly. Don't go, just slow pulls, just to watch it, and you can turn it as tight as you want. The smaller gauges of wire, like the 20 and that, usually those you can just sort of straighten out with your hand. And there's times where I am doing like 2 feet of like this 20 gauge wire, and it gets a little bit crazy and wild. I don't remember if I mentioned earlier, but only because I have done this countless times before I got wise to the idea. If you're doing long pieces of thin gauge wire, do bend back the end so that, and these are my pliers that don't open up. Ugh, forget those. And then I drop my wire. This is called reality videoing. All right, so you take your plier, that open up, and bend the end back. It's just safer, especially if you're doing a long piece, because it gets a little, squirrely all over the place. This is a highly recommended thing to do. Now, once I have the wire straightened and I've tinned it, what I then do to make some of these decorative pieces that I add to my finished work, all right, don't tip them all off, is I use this device called artistic wire. It's another kind of jig. Now there's another company that makes one similar, but theirs is made out of plastic. I like this one because it's made out of metal, and what you get is you get this sheet that has a zillion million holes in it, and then you get a whole bunch of different pegs, different size pegs, that you put in here to create a pattern. And then you would take your wire and bend it around the pegs in whatever creative style you want to do. And also I use round nose, you know, for making spring things. I'll use, you know, a paintbrush handle. Again, that's what I use to make all these little decorative components that I add to my finished pieces. Okay, all right, so next I am going to show you some of my finished pieces, which I think I promised earlier in another video. Well, suspense no more. I will now show you some of my finished pieces. Okay, thank you.